Hello, everybody. This is part one of a long lab we're going to do. In fact, I'm going to number them separately. But anyway, it's the first lab in a series of labs for CKAD for Argo CD. Um, Argo CD. Why do we need Argo CD to begin with? Imagine if you have your Kubernetes infrastructure that deploys even a simple web server, right? You If you make changes to that, either at the application layer or at the infrastructure layer, it's all handy dandy to have a Kubernetes cluster that gets deployed, but then how do you go from deploying everyday releases on these things, including all the layers in the stack? You can use Jenkins, but Jenkins doesn't really have state in a good way, so it's a mess. So wouldn't it be great if we had a tool that could, as a GitOps way, just pull a merge request that just got merged and deploy whatever is there into a Kubernetes cluster. So that would complete our flow. And that's what Argo CD does. So I'm going to follow this instruction that I made for myself a long time ago. So the requirements, we're going to go to this website, this GitHub repo, and we're going to follow the steps. But first thing is we're going to confirm some prerequisites, right? So let's look at our instructions. First thing we have to confirm is that we have access to a GCP projects, which we do right here. And then let's see, next one. We have access to that, sure. And Kubernetes API is enabled on that project. So let's look at that. Enable, if we search API, you would end up on this page. And as you can see, Kubernetes Engine API is enabled in the list of enabled APIs. So that's done. Next one, my account has permission to admin the cluster, which it does. I'm not going to get into IAM because it has secrets. Gcloud, is Gcloud installed? Let's do Gcloud -H. And it is installed. Next one, kubectl is installed. Okay, kubectl -H. Right? What else? The cost of this. If you run a cluster for on a small, if you run a machine on which you're going to run this, it will cost on a small machine. It will probably cost you on Google Cloud approximately 3 cents an hour, maybe even less. So it's not very expensive. If you run a cluster, Kubernetes cluster, then even so, if it's running on one machine, one node, it will be the same cost, 3 cents per hour. Do we have a VPC and a subnet? So we will check for that. We will say in this project, do we have a VPC? And we do. And if we click here, that we should see a whole bunch of subnets. There's all these subnets. So we have that covered. All right. Create a cluster. This one takes forever. So I already have one cluster created. And I can show you that get nodes. It's a one node cluster. And I already have configured access to it. And I will leave the instructions. The instructions are already actually here on this Git repo, so you can just copy from here. If not, part of those instructions will also be there in the description of this video. All right, so that is number 9 to access the cluster. Yep, we already did that. Those are the if we hadn't done that, this command would fail. So we have that. Now we create our Argo CD namespace. Okay. Create namespace, and it's exactly named Argo CD, all one word, Argo CD. And if we do get, K is short for Kubernetes, kubectl, get ns, there's default, there's kube system, but there's also Argo CD. So that is done. All right, install Argo CD on your cluster. So you can just copy this. So I ran out of time for this video. I will continue this lab until it's done all the way, and it will be really clear to you on how Argo CD works. And I will see you in lab 2, where we continue the same setup.